I'm your host, Jessica Shockley, and this is the Bold Foundations Podcast. Hurt in a car accident? It's time to lawyer up with Shockley Polino Personal Injury Attorneys. The law firm of Shockley Polino is dedicated to protecting the rights of our clients and providing personal attentive service. If you've suffered a personal injury, our lawyers have the knowledge and experience to manage your case to a successful outcome. At Shockley Polino, our firm was built on the notion of putting the client first. Reach out to us today at spjustice.com or call 727-498-8771. Offices St. Petersburg and Clearwater. On this episode, boldly choosing to move forward. What if I told you that your mind is stronger than you think? Tanya joins me on the Bold Foundations podcast by bravely telling her life story. From early childhood to adulthood, Tanya faced trauma and adversity beyond imaginability. As a child, she may not have realized the masks she was wearing to protect herself, but with a strong-willed mind, perseverance, self-reflections, support systems, and faith, she rose like a phoenix to greatness with authenticity. Now, an esteemed businesswoman, minister, and motivational speaker, Tanya is boldly serving her purpose to help others. Her powerful testimonies, encompassing both tragedy and triumphs, have proudly touched the lives of many already. Please note, this episode has some discussions involving violence, sexual assault, and suicide, not recommended for children. If you or someone you know is in need of help, reach out to the American Psychological Association's crisis text line. Text HOME to 741-741. I'm here today with Tanya Chin. Hi, Tanya.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I think you both know that we've had a little bit of a day today. So the theme of these podcasts is to really talk about overcoming obstacles, and we both had obstacles today. So this interview almost didn't happen because I came down with the flu, and you had some hacking going on.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But we're gonna lean into the I get to instead of I have to do this podcast episode. And I am so, so grateful that you are still here today and you're able to have this conversation with me.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't I almost did, but I wouldn't have stopped this thing from happening. You know me, I always think it's something spiritual. I definitely think I'm not a fighting against anything I can see, for sure.
Well, a big part of you is how you are such a positive and powerful person. So I had the great opportunity to meet you and become your friend when we worked together at a national property management firm. And just for people who don't know you, go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are and how things are for you today.
Okay. Well, I am Tanya Chin. And that's saying a lot because at one point I didn't know who I was. I feel like I'm a success story. I feel like hey, I'm a true born again Christian. I'm definitely a believer, and I feel like the Lord has guided me through some very hard times in my life and has gotten me here. I have a beautiful family. I've been married almost 20 years. I have identical triplets, and we'll get into that. And I am actually in school right now too. I graduated from Charis Bible College in May of 2024 and got my minister license. And then now I'm coming back to finish my human services degree to be able to have that credential to speak and deal with people of, you know, all ages, all race, you know, color, creed, no matter what. I feel like I have something to offer and that I can help someone else that has gone through tragic situations in their lives. That's where
And
I'm
I
at today.
and you do that because people can find you speaking on other podcasts. They can find you at speaking engagements. I just came to see you recently at one,
Yep,
and
the Made for More conference.
yes, which was amazing.
It
So
was a great
I'm
experience.
I'm so happy to know you, and I'm so happy that you are here today on this Bold Foundations podcast. And what we discuss on this podcast are females who have overcome obstacles and how they have used self-reflection and setting new foundations for themselves in order to live the life that they deserve to live, which is be with happiness and being fulfilled. So we know that you are in such a great, amazing place today, but let's take it back a little bit and go back to your childhood where little Tanya was and how things started. So tell me about how you grew up.
Okay, you guys buckle up. So we'll start. Listen, when I was younger, I lived in extreme poverty with my mother. My mother had me when she was 40. So my mother was resided in Michigan, Chicago, and Kalamazoo, Michigan, and where she was pregnant with me, and she fled to Jacksonville, Florida, fleeing my father, which was someone that was very abusive. And so 4 years she disappeared and was here, but he eventually found her. And when he found her, he was, back in her life. And I watched and was able to witness the abuse. And then I end up witnessing my mother murder my father in front of me, but it was self-defense. So with that being said, when that situation happened, I was shipped up north and my mother went to prison. But when they found out who my father was, my mother was released from prison, and then I was shipped back to Jacksonville. And that's when the journey started of us being very poor. My mother, uh, she worked as hard as she could, but because of this, I was left in many places around many different men and people, and a lot of things happened to me, abuse, sexual abuse and physical abuse that I dealt with at such a young age in my life. So that started me off to a place of neglect, not feeling loved, abandonment. That's a big thing. And as an adult now, and going to therapy and different things like that, abandonment, it stays. I mean, we it grows up with you. And I've learned that as an adult, that everything that happens to us as children, we just turn into the adults that still have the things that happened to us as children. So with that being said, I was with my mother, and she ended up being with someone else with abuse, and I ended up running away at the age of 12.
So take me back to when you witnessed that event between your mother and your father. If we unpack that at that time and in that place, how did that make you feel? Did you feel like it was any particular person's fault? And do you still feel that way today?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was 4 years old, but what I do know is it made me angry. When I used to watch my father beat my mother, I couldn't figure out. I was like, in my little young mind, like, why is she not fighting? Like, why is this one side and I see this man beating this woman, and it's like I can't help her. You know what I mean? I think as children, and we love our parents, so we love our mothers. I didn't know this man. I had never met him before a day in my life. So I was in love with my mother, and to see her being subjected to this type of abuse and me not being able to help her, it turned me angry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because as I was going to school, I used to fight, and things like that. It made me angry because there was nothing that I could do to help her. And then when she killed him, it's almost like I zoned out, like it was a dream or something like that.
Now, when she went away, did that anger continue or did that shift in any way?
It shifted to abandonment. So the anger of me seeing him beat my mother, and then when she went to prison, I would never get this. This is one of the saddest moments of life. My mother, back in the day, we had bars. I know now they have the sliding jails, but I remember she was behind the bars, and I remember holding on to the bars. I don't know if it was a detective or police, but I was about to be shipped away, and I don't know how it happened then and what the criminal justice system, but they allowed me to come back to say bye to my mother. And I remember holding on to those bars saying, "Mommy, mommy." I was calling, and she would not turn around and look at me.
Mm.
She would not. And I started crying, and I swear, just like a rip in my chest. Like I can feel like a, and that pain that I felt, I didn't realize till I was in my 30s that that was abandonment. And it's almost like she died. She left me right then. And I remember them pulling me off the bars and me not seeing my mother again for months, introduced to all of these strangers, which was my siblings and aunts that I had never met.
Yeah. I can't imagine what that felt like for not just you, but for her,
Right.
because I can only assume that she didn't turn around because it was too hard for her.
Correct. Now listen, me and my mother, so I want to be clear. I fell back in love with my mother when I was about 25 years old. We had an estranged relationship for a long time. But one thing about us, we don't understand adults until we're adulting.
Right.
And when I became an adult, I started to understand, okay, life had to beat your mother up. And she did not have the proper and the necessary tools to be able to deal with life. And when I talked to my mother about that night, I told her, she said, Renee, my mother called me Renee. That's my middle name. She said, Renee, I just couldn't look at you because I didn't want that to be the last thing that I saw. But I understood it. And I just told her, I said, you know what? I understand that, but that thing did something to me. And so she, you know, she just let me know that she just did not know what to do. And she thought her life was over, that she would be in jail for the rest of her life. And so she couldn't bear to look at me, just like you said. And so many, many years. So if you see from that point on until in my late 20s, I've never realized what happened there, like what. But when I was able to ask her and she explained it to me, because I was an adult, because I had been in the streets for many years, and that's another story, I understood what this world can do to a human being.
Yeah. I mean, she had been through a lot. I mean, to
Yes.
say the least. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
She
at
had
this
her own
point,
story, you know?
right, right, as we do.
Yeah.
So now you are in a different place completely, and you are with other family members. Tell me about your family.
So I found out about my siblings. So my mother had 5 children. I was the last one. Like I said, she had me at 40. She was married to their father and she had them at like 18 and 19. So my siblings was like 20 something years older than me, or 20 something years older. But I'm talking like that because I really only talked to one, the oldest one. We kind of have a small relationship and we talk every now and again. But we are all estranged. We never built that. It's like I grew up almost as the only child. They were grown and doing their own thing, and they were in another city and state, and they were bitter towards my mother because, again, remember I said she left and came here to Jacksonville. When she left them, she came to Jacksonville, where I was born, and resided there and never left, and left her children. They were young adults, so 18, 19, 20, but you left them. So, they looking like this little girl. So we had no kind of bond. But I can say this, and I will give them credit. My sisters tried. My older sister was in college. She ended up being a teacher. She retired from being a teacher. She tried to take care of me. And I'll never forget, she taught me how to brush my teeth.
Hmm.
She was the person that got my ears pierced. My sister under her, I went to her next because my older sister couldn't take care of me. Went to her. She was married. I mean, she was dating a guy, and she was in a interracial relationship, and he was beating the fire out of her, busting her nose in front of me. He was on cocaine. Like I saw all of the things. She couldn't take care of me, so she shipped me off to their supposed to be my mother's sister, and I was staying with her. Listen to this, guys. When I went to the auntie, the man that molested me was married to her daughter. This man was dating my mother back in Jacksonville. The niece or whoever came to Jacksonville. I didn't know all this to my mother and started dating the man, and he went to Michigan with her. Well, when all of this happened and my mother went to prison, she married this man, and it was an interracial relationship, and he used to molest me all the time. When I got to living with them there, he started beating me. And I don't know if it's because of what he knew he did to me, and then this is his wife now, and then she was around. It was just so twisted. I was so alone. I was alone and I was broken. And being in that situation, I I had no one. You know what I mean? All of these strangers, and then dealing with that, it was like, God, what is this? So now I'm like, I know I left there, I was like 5. So my mother, when they found out who my father was, she ended up getting out of prison. But I said, you know what, Lord, I thank you, because she sent back for me. She left them, but she sent for me. And it was 2 sisters, a brother, and a sister that I found out my mother left. Rose was like 15. So she grew up and hated my mother and deleted us out of her mind. But that's another story. But I was shipped back down with my mother. And then my mother, God bless her, we were from pillar to post. And she was staying with different people. Then she ended up getting a job. And then she rented a little, we call them shotgun houses. And I'll never forget, because it was just me and my mother, all of the things happened. She used to leave me by myself all the time. So I remember being alone, and where we were, it was so roach and rat infested. And it's so crazy, because when you're living in it, it's just the way it is. And you
Normal.
look back and it's like, that wasn't natural. That
Right.
was horrible.
Yeah.
And I remember being hungry and the lights being cut off. I remember eating the welfare cheese in the big brown box. I remember all of the things, but it is something that I can say that, can I tell y'all, God, just, I look back and he was always there with me. Because even though I can look back and see how horrible that is, I was happy because I was with my mother. And like I told you guys, I was angry when she killed my father. I felt abandoned when she went to prison. But to come back with my mother, that's all I wanted. So when she was gone and I was alone so much by myself, I started dreaming, and I'm going to be this when I grow up, and I'm going to succeed in life. I'm not going to live this way. I'm going to have a mansion. I was that person. And it's so crazy. I talk about this, and going to school, I would escape my world. I was in theater arts, chorus. I acted, I modeled. I was in the pageants, everything to escape reality. So when I went to school, I was I know we talk about the mask, talking about this. You know what? I had a mask. I was a completely different person. Nobody knew what I was going through. Nobody knew if I was hungry. Nobody knew that I was dirty. Nobody knew that my lights were cut off. Nobody knew I was home alone almost all the time. Nobody knew it. And to this day, you guys, as an adult, people say, Tanya, I never knew. Because it's people, I have a big social media platform, and it's a lot of people that are my friends and follow me from when I went to school with them, like elementary, junior high, things like that. And they, to this day, be like, I would have never known. You were so bubbly and happy all the time. And I realized that wasn't fake. That is really who I am. I'm really a happy, bubbly person. But when I came back to my place of residence, I just was alone. So I was lonely. I was lonely, and I didn't have a brother or a sister. I didn't have siblings. I didn't have that other person that grew up with me. It was just me. And so when I went to school, I was that, I love this. I was a performer. But then I learned in therapy, I had like an imposter syndrome type thing going on. You know what I mean? So it's a long road of recovery when you've had trauma in your childhood, but it is recovery.
Yeah, you know what? A question that comes to mind for me listening is that where did you find the strength to dream big? Or was it because school was an escape and that you were able to escape into theater? And did you hide everything going on because you didn't want the other kids to know because you wanted to live in that same space?
Nope, I've always been real. It just wasn't a, just try to picture yourself as a kid. You don't talk about that stuff. Like, I don't, other kids are not, we're not talking about poor. Hey, I stayed on the side of town. Everybody know that was the poor side. It was the east side. And all my friends from the east side. So Jessica, it's normal. Do you understand that in my mind, oh, this just got to be the way it is. But
Mm.
like you said, when I escaped, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be famous. You get what I'm saying? It's like I'm a leave this place and I'm gonna go. Cause in my mind, I'm just gonna leave this place. But nothing in my mind is telling me everybody else not going through this. I don't
I,
I don't
yeah.
have people around me like that. So if I'm in school, we're playing, we're double dutching, we're playing kickball and tag, we're doing our work, we're in the place, then we go home. So it's like that. And what's up for discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I do, but I do think that you have an extraordinary amount of strength that even as a young child, you were able to sort of compartmentalize and put that aside because you hear stories about other children that may be going through some trauma and, the teachers are picking up on some signs that are going on. And that's when they start calling home, like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And, it sounds like you were able to just live in this happy space at school and you were able to dream big, which I think is really remarkable.
Hey, because I was made that way. I'm telling you, I was
Yes.
built like a battleship and I
Yes.
rise like the phoenix. I will rise up from them ashes. And I just always have been that way. And that's why I said, people, I look back, I see God. I'm telling you, it's almost like I had an internal encourager. That's why it's not hard for me to encourage people because we got to encourage ourselves. But if I need to help you feel better, then that's what I want to do because I know how. Hey, don't get me wrong. Listen. Let's fast forward a little bit. With my mother, I'm in sports in school. I'm playing the things. I had done ran away, came back. She left the man, so I ran away, came back again. And when I got with my mother, y'all, I was running track and playing basketball, and I used to ride the activity bus. And then riding the activity bus, you get dropped off like a block from your house or whatever the case may be. I'm in this good happy place. My mother's doing better. We're living better, and I used to go to the teen club. So remember, I told you I ran away. So listen, I was in a rap group, in a dance group. I did all of the things. So I used to perform. It used to be a teen club called Colors. It was on, I believe, University Boulevard or something like that. Um, they used to have us, I don't know what, but it was a TV. They used to have this club on TV. And I used to be one of the dancers, blah, 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 whatever. Lo and behold, I guess this man, he made me think he met me and we had a conversation. I don't know for sure, but he started stalking me. He was coming up to my school. He was coming to the clubs, um, all of the things. So one day, it's been about 4 months. So, because I found out after the detective told me, the man had been stalking me for 4 months. He was a 29-year-old ex-Marine. I was 16, 15, 16, something like that. I think I was six. It was 1992. This man snatched me up. He was parked in front of so I'm getting off the activity bus, walking to my mother's home. It was a white car sitting in front of her house. And the man coerced me to him by talking to me. Like, remember, we were talking, we were at Colors, and you were telling me this, and oh, that basketball game. And I walked close to him, and you guys, I got snatched right up. I was abducted, I was raped, I was choked out, all kind of things with this man all day. That's a whole nother story. But just to give you the gist of that, you think I ain't go crazy for a minute? That broke me. I had PTSD for about 5 years. I think I was about 20 when I stopped, my heart stopped palpitating and me sweating every time a man is walking towards me. But the kicker is, you guys, I never went to therapy, never went to counseling. I talked to myself. Hey, it's okay. You're going to be okay. It's not going to happen to you again. This man is not going to hurt you. I just used to, and I had somebody tell me later on, a therapist and actually a dean in human services said, you have one of the most strongest minds I think I've ever seen. And I'm humble and I take it as a compliment and all of the things, but I give that glory to God because a lot of people break and a lot of people can't make it. And after that man raped me and I went through all of the things and the rape crisis center and the taking pills to kill my eggs and taking penicillin and being tested for AIDS every 6 months, because you know that was that era. I went kind of crazy and I tried to kill myself. I do not get it twisted and think that I'm not a human and I can't break, because it broke me. And I end up going to the mental health resource center where I'm about to be volunteer in one of the places. And a lady in there talked to me one night and said, you're not crazy. You don't belong here. God has a plan for your life. You are not supposed to be here. You need to get yourself together and you need to get out of this place. And that thing clicked in my mind. And I said, Tanya, what are you doing? What are you doing here? I got out of that place and I said, oh, I'll never do that again. But I was at such a low place right then in my life. I was like, nothing else can happen to me. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going, I gotta go. I gotta get out of this place. So that was my moment of vulnerability where I broke and I was depressed. And I just, that thing, you guys, for somebody to take you against your will and do all of the things to you, you feel like a pig that's been rolled around in mud. And you start trying. I had the syndrome. I started doing what every rape victim did, blaming myself. It's my fault. I shouldn't have walked to his car. I shouldn't be so friendly. Why did I? And hey, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And that took me a couple of years to understand that was not my fault. I'm a freaking teenager. This is a grown man. But I said, hey, I'm promiscuous. I'm in the streets. I wasn't a virgin. So I was thinking about all the things. This what you get. Your mind starts playing tricks on you. To me, it's the enemy talking in your ear, the devil. I believe, hey, you're not worthy. It's your fault. You made this happen. If you weren't so sexually active, this one, just all kind of things. And yes, so in those times of year, yeah, I was broken. So adding that on top of my childhood, yeah, in adulthood, I had to go to therapy.
And I think that for anyone to go through just one of those incidents that you had to live through, it could easily break someone and break them to the point where they're knocked down, because I don't believe that anybody is knocked down forever. I don't think that you're taken out, because I think that every single person is worthy. And I think that it is okay to be in that space of feeling hurt and sad and confused and angry, because the only way you are going to make a change for yourself and grow from something is if you feel that. Because if you're just happy all the time,
Yeah.
that's not going to motivate you to move forward in an even better
And that's
direction.
not real either. And that's why
Right.
I wanted to set the record straight. I'm a human. I'm a human being and I'm having a human experience. So I will not sit and think I haven't been heartbroken. I haven't been through pain. I haven't been through, why is this happening to me? When is this going to be over? But it just doesn't hold me. I have quick recovery time. I will not allow myself to sit in pity, self-pity. uh, I, I feel like we all are made to recover because we're in a fallen world, right? We're here. As long as you wake up and you're still breathing, you can recover. And I really believe that. So when things happen listen, Jessica just said it this morning. You guys, last night, I think something was trying to block us and stop us, because in the middle of the night, somebody hacked me and added an account to my page and started taking money out of my account. and I'm verified. So they have attached to me, and Facebook, there's no way to stop it. And you can change passwords and do all that, but I got this person connected to my page, and I can't get them off. So I'm saying, oh my God, I'm gonna have to deactivate my accounts and start over. The amount of posts that I have between my Instagram and social media, you guys, it just hurt me, and I felt broken this morning, and I was like, Jessica, I almost canceled. And my one of my right hand men that deal with me, and she creates my content and website, was like, you better not. You better not. You just spoke out this conference about spiritual warfare, how you're fighting something that you can't see. And when she told me that, I said, Tanya, get it together. I texted Jessica and say, we're good. We're good.
Shout out to D.
Deke.
We needed D to push you along today.
Ooh, Deacon Yolanda said, my listen, she real, and see, right there, I'm so glad we said we got to this. You need somebody in your life as well that's gonna uplift your tail when you acting crazy. When you're about to give up, when you're about to you know what, I can't do this anymore. You know what, this is too hard. You know what, I'm just gonna try to go a different route and just miss the plans God has for you and just walk right out to destiny. You need people that's gonna be like, hey, buckle up, buttercup, get your mind right.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about when you went through the sexual assault, how you were asking yourself questions in your head and kind of pushing you out of that space. Sometimes we're not strong enough in the moment to do that for ourselves.
Oh,
And if you need real friends, you and I are
you
real
better say it.
friends. I consider
Yeah,
you a real friend. We have
right.
asked each other those hard questions on
Yep.
many occasions. I have called you in full-blown tears, and
Right.
you have asked me questions to kind of allow me to have that self-reflection for
Right.
myself. And that is so, so important for
It's
everybody.
so important. Listen to me. In my degree, in therapy and counseling, because I do want to eventually counsel. I want to not work on a secular job, and I want to be a person that is placed here to help people for the rest of my life, right? And when you're counseling somebody, one of the things that you learn in school is this: they really answer their own questions.
Hmm.
You're really just a vessel to listen and have them think about, well, what do you think you should have did in that situation? You know what I mean, type thing, because we all have the power and the mind on the inside of us to get through any situation. We just don't know it yet. We don't. I was just talking to somebody today about heartbreak. Humans don't want to feel heartbreak, so we'll do anything that we can not to feel pain. But it's the pain that we feel that's going to get us to and through the next situation, because we know how it feels and we know what it took to get out of the previous situation. We're in this earth and in this world, and this thing is going to beat you up. I tell my teenagers, like, don't think it's going to get easy. Y'all want to get out the house and pay your bill. This world, if you don't have your stuff in order, will eat you alive. And
I
I
had
just was the person that I was not going to allow this world to win.
I read recently that your ego does not allow anyone to make you change. Only you can change. So if you tell somebody else, hey, you have a problem, you need to change this, their ego is never, ever, ever going to accept that. So by asking people questions and giving them the opportunity to ask themselves things,
Yep.
then it becomes their idea. And that's the only way you're going to ever move forward. And we, a little bit of that, you and I learned to do that in the workplace. We talk about coaching our team members. It's a much more effective method to ask, well, what do you think you should do? Or what kind of result do you think
Right.
that you'll get from that? And they are then empowered to take
Yep.
action because they came up with the idea themselves.
Correct. Yes. Yes. That's just like raising children. If you tell them not to do it, they're going to do it. But
Oh,
guess
yeah.
what? Even adults, if you tell us something we can't do, we want to do it so bad after that. If that's the way we're wired, that's the way our brain is. You know what I mean? And so that's why I tell people, speak what you want. Let your ears hear it. Speak what you want to change and let your ears hear it.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to make it happen. You know what I mean? So to go back to the many years later after that situation happened with me, and the PTSD that because I listen, I didn't know that's what that was until I went to therapy. They was like, you had PTSD. And PTSD is when you get around a certain environment, it'll take you all the way back to the place. They talk about this with people that were in the war that had PT. Their mind will take them up. They'll hear the gunshots. They'll feel everything. That's how strong your brain is, and you have to overpower that thing and tell yourself this isn't real. This is not what is happening to me. And y'all, I beat that thing. And when I was in therapy, they were like, so you literally, I say, you know what happened? That's why I say God was always there. I started in my profession. I became a leasing consultant. And when you're a leasing consultant, you have to show apartments by yourself. And I used to have to show apartments with men by myself, and in the midst of it, feel my heart beating out my chest, start sweating, but never let them know it. That's actually how I beat it. They're asking me questions. I'm scared as I don't know what. That PTA, and I say, Tanya, you are gonna, yes. And then the kitchen, and in my mind, it's like, he's not gonna bother you. There's nothing gonna happen. And we go in the bedrooms, and y'all, eventually, guys, it went away. I beat it. I took it on head on. I would allow myself to be in them vacant apartments with them men following me and walking, and I was scared to death. But eventually, as time went on, it was a piece of cake, and it was gone, never came back.
I think time is important in these situations. I also think it's important to proactively put yourself in a place, in an environment, and with people that will be your support system before something happens. Because
Yeah,
if you fall into a situation like you have, you are going to inevitably be in that broken down place.
yeah,
And you need people to kind of be that mirror and ask you those questions. And I think that
yeah,
you have had times and places and people in your life that have helped that for you. Back to the childhood, the school was a place where you were being uplifted by the other children around you. You guys
yeah.
were enjoying things together, and then you sought out therapy, which I think everybody should do.
I'm telling you, it's real. Everybody should. You should have some kind of outlet to be able to talk out loud of the inner things. I say inner demons that you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Because we all deal with something. And this what I'm talking about is as a teenager. So going in my early 20s, you know what happens then as a women, we start getting in the wrong relationships. You know what I mean? So we could just skedaddle right onto that. I got in different relationships that um I don't care how good you think you look. I don't care how you think you got your stuff in order. Relationships can make you feel insecure about yourself, insecure about what you got going on, if they're a narcissist or if they're trying to build themselves up to tear you down because they're actually jealous of the person that they're with. Man, I went through all of that because my personality, the type of personality, a lot of people can't deal with that have insecurities with themselves. They can't deal with me. They can't. And in the situations that I dealt with men and in a boyfriend girlfriend type, and even a marriage situation, because I've been married before. My first marriage lasted 6 months, but in those situations when somebody is unhappy with themselves, they can't be happy with you. That's just period. And so you deal with things like that. And so I dealt with heartache and pain and cheating and all this kind of stuff. And again, I almost went into a depression state. You know what I mean? And um I remained Tanya and got through it and moved on. But guys, that's just it's just stuff just keep adding on. And I think that's what Jessica's talking about the mask you put on. Because when you're going through things like that on the inside, on the outside, it's like what they say, people on the outside looking in, they don't know what you're dealing with. They think you just as happy in this relationship and you're miserable. It's because you're putting on a mask, you're putting on this face. And then you have to ask yourself, what am I doing this for? Why am I in this? why am I allowing this person to hurt me? And it's like that, all of that stemmed from what I told you guys, that abandonment.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
that's
because you don't,
all it stirred from. Not having a father in my life, feeling like my mother abandoned me, trying to fill this void with love and different men and different things, and just making the hole bigger and bigger. And I
yeah,
found
because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to lose whatever relationship you have because you have felt that in the past.
yep,
So you're just kind of appeasing things and letting things move along where everything's copacetic.
yep. And for years. And I try to, when I'm talking to teenagers, and when we're talking about relationships, I always tell them, do not open that door, because when you open that door, you're going to seek it for the rest of your life. And then when you get married, you're going to have baggage. And then that person's got the baggage. And then you're trying to come together. And it's like she said, the mask. They don't know your past for real. You don't know theirs for real. And you're trying to occupy one space. It's just not going to work out for you. You should just rather not want to be involved in all these different sexual relationships, staying together and all this kind of thing. When is this who you're going to be married to? Is that all for naught? Because if you're not married to that person, you're going to stop that relationship, then you're going to have to do it all over again. Then next thing you know, you got all these uh, connections that you can't work through because you got so many different heartaches and pains that you are carrying on in your life. And when you find your real husband or wife, they're not going to be able to satisfy you mentally, physically, or anything, because you haven't got the necessary therapy that you need to shut that stuff down and learn who you really are.
I think the hardest part, at least, speaking for myself and my perception, is it's really hard to just be born with a sense of worthy, even though that we are. But you really, really have to believe that you are worthy of all things, because that is going to allow you to be in a place where you're not going to accept the negative things from people. You're not going to, like you said, open that door to things that don't serve you.
Yeah.
So going back to the time where you were sexually assaulted, and then you said it took about 5 years of really, really difficult PTSD. So now we're kind of at the age of 20. And where are you in your life at this point? You're starting to turn a corner and you're starting to pull yourself out of that PTSD. What's life like now?
Now I'm in all of the jacked up relationships. I'm cheating. I have two boyfriends, two, three boys. I'm in this place though where nothing matters. Nothing matters. I'm not afraid anymore, but now it's like I have no self-worth and didn't even realize it. Thinking I'm hurting somebody else, but I was being the one that was getting hurt. So now I'm in this stage. I'm just living life. I'm going to the clubs, I'm drinking, I'm having a ball, and I'm wrapped up in myself. I'm selfish. I'm
Is
selfish at this point.
is any part of you at that point, do you think that's motivated by anger?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I said, none of those emotions weren't gone. You
Right.
know what I mean? It just got intensified, actually. I definitely was mad that this man took something from me that I didn't willfully give.
Right.
I'm mad that that happened to me. I'm mad at myself. I left my mother again. All that did was put me back away from my mother. So now I'm dealing with because like I said, I was 16, so I ran away again. Well, I didn't run away. I just at this point you 16. I just left, and then so by the time I was 18, I had my own place. I'm messing. In a relationship with drug dealers. I got all this money. I'm in the streets. I'm living that fast life. And that's what I'm dealing with. I'm selfish.
So
I had
what was the next thing that happened that you were able to move on from that phase?
getting pregnant with my first child. So I was 18, I was graduating and I was pregnant. I had had my baby. And I didn't want to live like that anymore. And that's what started it. Because God forbid I turn into, let me tell you something too. You're so quick to say, I'll never do that. And you slowly turn into the person that you don't want to be. And you don't even realize you're doing it. And that's exactly what I did, guys. Listen, my oldest daughter, I end up leaving her with her father. Okay, this is the twistedness. I was in that game with him until she was 3. When she turned 3, I had had enough. I wanted out of the life. I asked my daughter at 3 who she wanted to go. Do you want to go with me? Because I was young, you guys. She said she wanted to stay with her father. She loved her father. And because I was robbed of my father, I thought that was the right thing to do and left her with her father, which was a drug dealer. And I went about got me an apartment, and I was like the I was getting on the weekends, taking her shopping, about dropping her right off to. I'm in the streets, in the clubs, got my boyfriend. I got my kid for a second, dropped him back off to her father. And to this day, being that way, her father called me crying, like 6 years ago, apologizing to me for telling her I didn't love her. I abandoned her because me and my daughter have been estranged for years. We have this off and on relationship. It tore down. And even though her father told her it was lies and your mother was not that person or whatever the case may be, my daughter told me it's too late. I can't. She has so much deep rooted bitterness in her. She can't love me. She loves me, but she can't. And look at all of this time. I'm 49 years old. Okay. And I haven't talked to my daughter in about 3 years. Before that, I might have talked to her 2 years straight, but then before that, it was 5 years. We've been like this her entire life. We've never had a connection. And she told her father, I don't care. I can't forgive. I don't know how to forgive. And so I have that in my life as a mother that I had to say, hey, anything I did to you, knowingly and unknowingly, I just want to apologize. I love you. I've always loved you. I was very young and I did not know what I was doing. I am sorry for giving you to your father. I released it off of me, right? You know, it wasn't a fake apology. A fake apology is whatever you think I did to you, no, what I did to you, I am extremely sorry and I regret it and I love you. And I try to do it. I bought my daughter 2 cars, but listen, that money is it's not anything that I've ever done for her, it never mattered. You know what I mean? My husband was like, Tanya, you got to see it for what it is. But when you're a mother, you can't. But when I apologized and I said what I said, and as the years went over and gone, I prayed about it and I released it. I let it go because at that point, it's not me. I've done everything that I could. I'm always here, but I can't chase a person. And so until she gets the forgiveness in her heart and until she gets whatever, again, this breaks some people. Some people can't deal with it. But I have to keep moving forward because you know what the Lord gave me? What God, I have a husband, I have a daughter, a 17-year-old, and I have identical triplets that I take care of now, that I have to love now, that I have to be a mother to now. I can't nurture an adult. My daughter's in her 30s. It's over.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay with that.
And that's so hard, as a mother and a daughter, but you are 1000% correct. You have owned your part in it, and we cannot control other people's thoughts and opinions and
Cannot.
feelings.
And I love her so much. I think about her. I've cried about her. I pray about her when she drops him. I pray, Lord, I pray that everything's going good with her. Please continue to cover her and bless her and anything that she does. And that's all I can do. That's all I can do.
And I'm sure that she hears those things, but, as we talked about before, things take time, and that's not to say that she won't put more thought into things and things will change. And I think that you can always have hope.
for sure. It's sure that's my daughter.
Right.
I love you regardless. I don't have your phone number. I don't know where you live. Like, I don't know anything. But if my daughter was to come knock on my door right now, when I open my door, you know what I would do? I would just hug her.
Well, and I
Just
think
like I
that,
always do every time she came back to
right,
me. But you know what I mean? Because I, I have empathy for her.
right.
You know what I
And
mean? I've been there.
you've given, to your point, you give so much incredible love to your children that you have now. We've had conversations of friends, how you have this really amazing, these family meetings that you guys have and these close relationships that you have with your children. And that's important for them.
Yeah.
You like you said, you need to show up for them.
Yeah.
And
And
I
listen,
know that,
I lost a child. You guys, I don't, if you get to following me on social media, everybody is something I have to discuss. My 19-year-old son was killed in 2019. And that's actually what brought me and my daughter back together for a minute. And she was in my life like 3 years after. Then lo and behold, again, she's gone. You know what I mean? So yes, I have 4 children here now, but I also have to deal with the grief of having lost a child. And again, I feel like that could have been something that broke me, and I could have been crazy because I wouldn't wish that on anybody on this earth. But I'm not the only person that has lost a child. So I had to keep moving forward and keep it pushing through for, again, the 4 children that I have right now that I've been blessed with. And I have to grieve when I grieve. Listen, it's been 5 years and I'll break down crying. I let it out and then I move on. He's not in my past. My son is in my future.
yeah. And we have talked a little bit, we touched a little bit on previously and in a lot of private conversations between you and I, how you attribute a lot of your life and the way of living is turning to God. And I know you shared with me that that got you through the
Oh,
loss of
yeah.
your son. If you could share a little bit how that relationship with God started and how you apply that in your life.
Well, my relationship with God started when I was a kid. It's crazy. I told you guys, me and my mother were together. My mother taught me the little nursery rhyme prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord. And as a kid, mommy, who is the Lord? What is? And my mama told me, she was like, listen, Jesus, and the whole, I know this is not a religious thing, but my mother taught me, hey, Jesus is the Son of God. And when you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you will get to heaven. You will be with God always. He will be with you everywhere you are. And as a little girl, I believed it. And I'm gonna tell you something, Jessica. I'm gonna go back to what you first said. Tanya, where did that come from with you? Where did that will? And you know what? Probably right there. Because I believed her. And I believe that I can do all things through Christ, which his strength is me. I believe that. So I took that belief because it was put at me at such an innocent young age. And I believe I carried that with me, no matter what I was doing wrong, because we're free in Christ. Everything I did, I just believe that I always believe that it's a God who loves me and who wants the best for me. And you need to want the same thing for you, for yourself. And I think I carried that my entire life. And I believe that when I got to a certain age and I was finally like, you know what, I'm going to surrender. And I started going, listen, I was 30 years old. Well, no, 27 years old when I started going to church. And I believe grew and nurtured my relationship with God. And from 27 to 30, from 27 to 28, I was deep in the church. From 29 to 30, I was back out there in that world. I got back out there. But when I got back up out there, I seen my husband, which is an old friend. Me and my husband were friends since high school. I saw him. We started dating. A year later, I was like, hey, I'm about to go back to church. He said, okay. And that's where we've been ever since. So from 30 to 49, I have been a believer and I have lived my life to please God. And I try to help people in every situation, circumstance, and I try to always be a person that I can look in the mirror and not be ashamed of who I'm looking at. That I'm confessing Christ out my mouth, but I'm living like a heathen. I try not to be that.
Yeah, I mean, these terrible things that you've had to live through, you couldn't control them. They happened to you. And
Yeah.
you've had a lot of resilience and strength to control or at least learn from those things to control yourself moving forward on how you're going to react to things. And I know that you do contribute that a lot to your religion, and you've also found, your husband who also turns to God, and that also, can you speak to about how that is in your marriage and how that works? Was it
It's just,
always like that?
you know what? No, hey, no. In the beginning of our marriage, like I said, we were in the church and everything, but we went through some things. Listen, you guys, me and my husband got married January 13th, 2006. My mother died March 5th, 2006. My husband's father died November 13th, 2006. This is the first year now. So we are going through an emotional roller coaster. Okay. January 13th, on our anniversary, I get pregnant. We lose our house, foreclosure. Remember 2007 when the recession and all, I was one of the people that was in that thing with the cap rates and all of the things. Lost my house, went in foreclosure, and we had to move. I had to sell all my jewelry. You guys, listen to me. Marriage is hard. I am not going to sit here and act like you get married and all your troubles are over. You are two different people with two different brains that has lived two different ways coming together like you one person. Your money together, you got to submit to this person telling you what you can and can't do, to the person telling you no, all of these things. And somebody that was managed like me, I was like, you don't tell me what to do. So we all of this stuff, and then dealing with deaths and different things like that, trying to get our lives back together because we done lost our home and my husband lost jobs, and it was just chaos. And then I'm pregnant, and then after I have Dalen, I get pregnant again with identical triplets in my body, one sac, one placenta. I'm like 1 out of 20 million. Hey, it just seemed like it was one thing after another. And if we didn't have God, we would definitely have been divorced. If we didn't have counsel from the elders of the church and all of the things, we definitely would have been divorced. And then fast forward into just life, and then losing a child. Like, hey, we have gone through things that many couples usually don't go through, but we went through them together. Because like I said, in a marriage, you're one. And thank God that it's two different type of strengths that we brought to the table. You know what I mean? And I can honestly say my husband is my best friend. And he's been with me through the thick and thin. And my husband knew all about the rapes and the molestations and abduction because we were really good friends. We were the boy and girl friends in school that can talk to each other about everything. And I called him before I tried to kill myself. It's like we were that close. And it's so crazy how full circle, it's almost like I feel like the Lord brought us back because this was always my husband. And I feel like that because of the fruit that we produce from the marriage.
I love hearing about your marriage, but I had the opportunity to see like a little glimpse of it when I came to see you at the Made for More
Oh,
conference. And I had shared with you that I was videoing you so you could see it later and you could have that. But I almost wanted to turn my camera to your husband because he was the cutest thing. He was beaming from ear to ear, like he was so proud of you. And just to see that on his face was really special.
because he knows what I come from and he knows the struggles that I've had. And he knows that I did a 180. I've done a 180. And I give that glory to God because I could have been something else in this
But you're
life.
not. But you are not.
But I am not, and I didn't conform.
No. So, a lot of your path is a testament to your faith. For me, I think that I can have a plan and I can set these foundations for myself. But one thing that I think is hard for me and a lot of people to control are these outside influences.
Mm.
Sometimes it's social media and what you see, and that can make you think, oh, should I be doing something different? Or friends or colleagues that are giving their opinions. Is that an experience that you had, and how did you deal with that to stay on the path you wanted to be on?
Yes, I've had that. Let me tell you about a thorn in my side, um, that I'm bold enough to speak on. Um, I'm from the streets. I'm real hood, and you know what I mean. I don't talk proper, none of the things. And um, many years back, I say 2021, 2020, 2021, I was being interviewed on a radio station. It was a morning show on a very popular station, and they kept asking me back. From my understanding, I had a real big audience, a big following, rather. But one time they asked me to speak to come on their show for the interview with two other young ladies, and both of them were prim and proper and had written books and all of the things. And I was so insecure. I was so this is I don't supposed to be around them. They like way better than me in this, you know what I mean? And I caught myself and I said, you know what, devil, this is a lie. So before the interview, I told both of them the way I felt. And the person that was interviewing was like, wow, that is big. And I
That's
said, yeah,
powerful.
because guess what? I'm gonna put it on Front Street and let you know, and I'm gonna let this in. You can't beat me with this. You ain't gonna have me feeling this way. And the women were like, what? You this and this, and I was like, yes, see, it's amazing how we can't see that in ourselves or whatever. And one of them asked me to be on their podcast, and I did. And we had a great interview, and he actually asked us back again. We did it a second time, but it taught me something. We have to stop internalizing that stuff and sitting in it, because that's how we lose. When I spoke that thing and addressed it straight up and put it out there, it couldn't defeat me. It couldn't beat me. And that thought went out of my mind. And it's so crazy because where did that come from? Where did that come from? That came
Ego.
from society and what we think it looks. Yeah, your ego too, but it came from a place of insecurity
Mm-hmm.
of what society is made me make, what society tries to make me think I'm supposed to look like, talk like, act like, and I don't fit that. I don't fit it. And so being put on different platforms, I realized, oh, you feeling some kind of way. And you need to get that off of you. I went to Charis Bible College and I graduated May of 2024. And in my second year, I had to speak a lot. My audience wasn't a whole Black audience. So I was like, oh, do I need to, and let's be real, we say code switch, and my pastor said, I wish you would. I wish you would not be yourself. And I was like, ooh. And I was like, I guess she said, Tanya, you better learn and understand that God made you and created you to who you are, not somebody else. So whoever's connected and for you, that's who's going to receive what you're saying. And if they're not for you, they won't. So,
Yes.
but it ain't for you to worry about. She said, it's not about you. And I said, oh, I repent. I said, yeah. Oh my God. And you know what? I'm going to stop thinking like this. And I did. So at that conference, I came in rapping. I'm gonna be who I am, god dog it. And you're gonna love it or hate it, but I don't care because it ain't about me.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to. I mean, I did not know that you were going to do that, and I was like, this is so awesome.
I
But
don't tell anybody.
when we talked later, you did share with me sort of like a similar situation. You were like, there's some older white ladies in this audience, and they were coming up to me and asking me where they could download my song. And you were a
Yes,
little floored by that. But
yes,
that's just a testament to the fact that people love you how you are. They don't want you to be someone else, and we have to
right.
learn how to believe that in our own self.
Right, right. And let me tell you something. I was out to prove it to everybody on that conference. I was like, I don't care who in here. I'm about to be Tanya. And them people was lined up. And I was like, wow, Lord, yep, see, because it's like it's not about you, Tanya. Now that's your ego. You think it's somebody worried about the way you let that mess go. And as you know, because you were there, I bet you I was 100% Tanya.
Oh, you were, and every single person was off their seat dancing. So, yes. I think, and I know that you live this life, especially with your passions and what you're doing. You talked earlier about, your journey to help people.
Mhm.
I think if you just live your life every day, how can I help someone else?
Yeah,
You are authentically yourself and you're not so wrapped up in your own head and worried and
yeah.
insecure about what you're doing, what you look like, how you're perceived.
Yeah. And I had to do that on social media because as you know, I post all kind of stuff. When I say in my bio, when I say these words, I mean it. Wife, mother, boss, leader, minister. That's what I want to give you. I'm going to give you all those things. I'm giving you the wife. I'm giving you the mother. I'm giving you the boss. I'm giving you the leader. I'm giving you all of the things. And that was my whole point. You know what I mean? So I I show the people that realness of what I do. Me and my daughter was singing the other night. I posted it. It was fun. I'm showing you all of the things of me. When I feel like I got want to minister to you, I'm gonna do it. When I feel like I got some encouragement, I want to do it. When I feel like I want to show you my cat, I'm gonna do it. And that's just what you get.
Don't forget socks.
Yeah, my dog. I know. I just did a post by him saying, people, I know I don't show y'all sauce. And the people was like, oh my God, he's gorgeous. I'm like, so sorry, so sorry. And I did make a post about him. So yeah, I do all of the things. You know what I mean? And I show you because that's who I am. And so I don't edit my videos. Everybody knows I'll scratch my nose, do whatever. I'm not it. This is what you see is what you get.
And that's what I know I love about you is that you are so much just you. Like I would never change one thing about you at all. And I think that's an inspiration for so many people. Like that's how we should all be.
Yep.
So, if you were, we've kind of gone over your life. We've kind of brought this to present day, which is a lot. You've been through so much, but you've overcome incredible situations, and you're this amazing person, and you're inspiring so many others. What would you tell young Tanya or someone listening today that is in a really difficult situation that they can relate to your story? What would you tell them from what you know now? What would be your encouraging statement?
I think that's a good one. I would have to think about that because it's according to what if it was a young Tanya, I would just tell them to keep moving forward. That's one of my sayings. Like, stop looking backwards and just keep moving forward. A lot of us, we always go backwards because we can't stay out of the past. And I made a post about this. The past is the past. Let it go. Yeah, it hurts, but move forward in your life. See what else is going on. Keep moving forward. Stop looking back. So that is one thing I would tell anybody that is ever going through anything that I did, that you have to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Well, Tanya, I so much appreciate you coming on the podcast today, especially because we were both on the struggle bus this morning, but that was in the past. We're not thinking about it. We are moving forward.
Yes, yes. And I gotta say, it's so funny. While we're in it, I know you see all this movement. Well, what happened was my laptop was about to die, and I had to plug it in. And you see me doing like this. I'm like, I need my cord. So it's so fun. See, I wanted to show y'all real life. I'm sitting here having a podcast interview. My screen is like, you keep playing, I'm cutting off. I was like, I muted myself, and then I was like, I need my cord. I need my cord. So it's so funny. I had to say that because this is the type of stuff right here. I'm doing this whole thing, and my laptop was about to die. And I thought it was just gonna cut Jessica off. I was like, oh my God, could you get the cord?
We're being authentic. Well, I appreciate you and I love you as my friend
Yes, love
so
you too.
much. You're such an inspiration.
Yes, thank you so much. And people don't understand what you're saying. We were colleagues way back from when you were like young, because I'm so much older than you, and you hadn't even had all your babies. And full circle, we come back, you this like rock star. And it's like everybody, both me and you, we just like changed our life and just started doing other things that what we say makes us happy. I went back to school, you do your thing. And it's like, I'm going to do what makes me happy. And what I feel makes me happy is helping other people.
Agreed. Agreed. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do you want to book Tanya Chin for your next event? Through engaging narratives and uplifting messages, she has had the privilege of connecting with diverse audiences worldwide. She looks forward to the opportunity to bring a memorable and an impactful experience to your upcoming event. She is looking forward to getting together and creating something truly special. Visit iamtanyachin.com. I am TANYACHINN.com. Or do you want to follow Tanya's day-to-day? Follow her on Instagram at iamtanyachin or on Facebook at Tanya Chin. Did this episode of Bold Foundations inspire you? Or can you relate? Maybe you have your own story to tell. Whether you want to share with me privately or you would like to be a guest on the podcast, reach out by going to boldfoundations.my.canva.site or follow us on Instagram at bold_foundations. And don't forget to leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for listening.